This Hearing this video right here, it just reminded me the truth about what the Ukraine war is actually really about right now. The Ukraine war is not actually a war. It's what what the Russians are referring to as a special military operation. But for the West, what we call it is a weapons test demonstration. See, we paid those politicians in the Ukraine so that we could buy the lives of their soldiers because we wanted to put them on the front lines against the Russians, another superpower, because we've never tested the Russians to see how hard they can punch. We wanted to see how hard they could hit. The Russians, for the most part, were reluctant to show us any of their exotic weapons. They showed us one example, and that example was so spectacular and amazing that we wanted no parts of the Russians after that. And effectively, we instantly removed all of our ambitions of ever sending American troops on the ground into an official fight against the Russians. When the Russians showed us that one example, and I'll see if you guys remember this or not. Let's see here. Russian Oreshnik missile strike. Let's see. Some people call it the rods of God. They were able to level 5 miles of factories in under 13 seconds. We still don't know what the Oreshnik is. We have no idea. But the reason we sent the Ukrainian soldiers there is because before we went into battle with them, we needed to know their capabilities, right? So I need you to understand what just happened in Venezuela. It's connected directly to what's been happening in the Ukraine. Let's take a look. That's all it took. 5 miles of factories turned to dust. Dust. And we still don't even know. They won't even show us the damage. They don't want us to know. And this is what they're talking about just happened in Venezuela. Take a listen.
A security guard that was protecting Maduro has spoken, and you got to hear what he said. It's in Spanish, but I'll translate. Also, Trump announced that, the cartels, they're going after him in Mexico. The whole vibe of Latin America has changed because of what happened in Venezuela. And now that we're getting firsthand accounts from people that were there, the soldier says they didn't hear him coming. He says the Americans had technology superior to anything they've ever seen. Everything that they were using for radar, for anything, was completely taken offline. They had drones, and the drones were taking out bases and taking out things faster. They have no technology. They've never had to fight against drones. He also talks about that there was only 8 helicopters. There was only 20 men that were sent in. And those
8 Black Hawk helicopters and 20 men is all it took to extract the president of an entire nation. And don't get me wrong. They have a military. They have a Navy. They have an Air Force. They have air-ground missiles. They had a missile defense system. All of it failed. Everything failed. Even his own private defense couldn't stop 20 Americans. Not 100, not 120, not 500. 20. There's more people than that in the section at a club. 20 men is all it took, because we're that much further and we're that much more advanced than everyone else, but obviously then besides the Russians and the Chinese.
20 men killed hundreds of their men, and
hundreds of their men wiped out by only 20 guys.
None of those soldiers were injured. He talks about it felt like they were firing 300 rounds a minute. Nothing they've ever seen, nothing that they can compete with. And then he also talks to the fact that the Americans had some kind of sonic shock boom that was sent out, and everybody immediately started bleeding profusely out of their nose. They couldn't.
It was a weapons test. We went in there to extract Maduro, but we did a live demonstration weapons test against the Venezuelan military. The same way the Russians did a live test on the Ukrainians. Same thing. We don't know what that is. We know the name of it. We don't know what they hit the Ukrainians with. We don't understand their technology. This was a weapons test for the Russians, but also a weapons demonstration. That's why we're not in the Ukraine right now going to war with Russia. That's why Trump pulled us all the way out of it and said, look, Russia, you can take Europe. That's your hemisphere. We're going to focus on our hemisphere. Greenland to Argentina, that's it. We want zero smoke. The Russians have some type of technology where it looks like Zeus himself, it looks like God himself is attacking these cities. That's how powerful and magnificent that weapon is. The Russians, now obviously the Americans, we went into Venezuela and we have apparently some kind of new type of weapon that makes everybody throw up.
Sonic shock boom that was sent out, and everybody immediately started bleeding profusely out of their nose. They couldn't even gather themselves because whatever was sent at them made them fall to their knees and vomit blood out of their mouth and out of their noses. They were incapacitated immediately. He says he never wants to go through that again. Doesn't want to have to fight with the Americans again. He's sending warnings to everybody out there that you think you can fight the Americans. You don't even know what their weaponry is like and what they're capable of.
You need to fear our capabilities because you have to respect us. We don't need you considering letting our adversaries build bases and build roads and get and pull resources and you sell it to them from our hemisphere. That's not how this is going to work. You are a recessive nation compared to us. Compared to the United States, you are under our sphere of influence. You are not an equal. And we have to make that clear for security purposes. We can't just be too nice. You know it's serious when Trump said there's two ways we're going to do this with Greenland, the easy way or the hard way. But the option of them saying no is not on the table. I hope they don't say no, but if they do, they're not going to get any money and we're going to take it anyway. So at least if they accept an offer, at least they'll get money out of it. But this is not something that's up for debate. The Danish military they don't have a military compared to us. They don't. The Venezuelan army was stronger than the Danish army of Denmark. So, and you see what 20 of our soldiers did to them. Imagine if we sent 1,000. But then again, you see what the Russians did to the Ukrainians. That made sure that put everyone on notice. There is no more. So now the only people left that we need to see what they can do. The only people who we need to, who we don't fear, but we maybe should because, but we don't know because we never seen how hard they can hit. I want to see what the Chinese can do. Now, Iran, very, very impressed when they hit Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. Very, very impressive, Iran. Nobody knew that they could get past the Iron Dome. Now we do. Bravo to Iran. So the only one left that we don't know what they can do, we can't make heads or tails of them because they've never gave us a demonstration, is the Chinese. That's all that's left. But the Americans just put the Americans hit Venezuela so hard and so fast with so few troops that now the rumors are going to all the Latin American countries, including to Mexico and the cartels, that the Americans have weapons that we don't understand. You think it's going to be like that movie Sicario, or Black Hawk Down. That was American weapons 20 years ago. We're in 2026. We will put our boot in your ass and the boot would be invisible. It would be implanted in your ass. We'll be looking directly at your cheeks. Won't be able to see the boot, the laces, the traction on the bottom, nothing. But it's there. It's an invisible boot in that ass. You can see your cheeks spread, but you don't know what's spreading them. Just transparent, translucent ass boot. You don't want it. So the Venezuelans are now warning the Colombians and the Mexicans and the Cubans to not taunt the Americans because they might already be in the room with you right now. You're telling the Americans, come get me. They're like, we're standing right behind. We've been here for like an hour. We made ceviche in the Colombian president's kitchen. We've been here all day. What do you mean, come get me? We're already here. You don't want to taunt us and you don't want to challenge us. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the president. They are more informed than the public because the public is full of idiots and they panic very easy. If you look at how the administration is behaving, they're moving as if they're in a race against time. Something is coming and we are racing at light speed to prepare for whatever that is. I don't have no idea why he's moving so fast. He's like, no, Greenland, yeah, well, we're taking it if they don't accept the offer, and we're going to go into Venezuela. We're going to get done. I'm like, wait a minute. He's really trying to shore up this hemisphere. Something is coming, and I'm going to have to just, until I find out otherwise, I'm going based off of behavioral patterns over the years. There was no haste before. And it's like, okay, what are you in such a hurry for? Like, there's like a race against time. I believe that there is something coming, and he is just trying to get us prepared and make sure we don't have any security exploits or anybody that's too close. And he has to make sure that those two oceans we have protecting our country, that nobody is already across those oceans. If you set up a base on Greenland or you set up a base in Venezuela, you're already in our hemisphere. You're just a matter of hours away from our shores. But if you're across that Atlantic or across the Pacific, good luck. We're not worried about it. We can handle that. Green spot, Venezuela, the Caribbean were blind spots where we weren't all the way stationed. But we're going to have to move our assets from other parts of the world that are where they're unnecessary or they're redundant. And we're going to bring them back into our hemisphere for a reason. And I'm just going to trust that they know what they're doing until we find out later that there was a good reason behind this. Again, you don't want us. You don't want to challenge us. You're going to lose. If you're a cartel in Mexico right now, I would already be preparing to shut down my operations or name somebody else the interim leader. You say you're going to go get milk. You're going to the store to get some leche, right? And you say, yeah, but the leche is a little expensive. I'm going to take about $5 million cash just in case the inflation in Mexico. And then all your other guys are like, where's he going? He's got $5 million cash. That's a lot of milk he's buying, eh? Instead of going to the store to get the milk, right, you're going to hit a left. You're going to go to the airport. And you're going to fly to another country that speaks Spanish that's as far away from Mexico as possible. You're going to want to change your name, and you're going to want to put on one of those glasses that has the fake nose, and you're going to want to pretend to be somebody else until we're done. Because once we know who you are, we have intel, we have spies, we have people that we pay. Money is everything. We know who the leaders of the cartels are. We know who their children are. We know their wives. We know where they sleep. We know where they go to school. We know where they eat. We know who's second, third, fourth, fifth in command. We know their soldiers. We are not going into Mexico blind. We know everything. We know where to hit. This will be surgical. This will not be something. This is not something up for debate. It's already happening. The fact that Trump's already mentioned it, it could have already started 2 days ago, and we just don't know yet because they don't know yet. Just people have been just disappearing, and we don't know what happened to them. There are certain blind spots, and there are certain people. Think about it. The cartels are working with the Chinese. Where do you think the fentanyl comes from when they're spiking all the cocaine that goes to California for the party? And then everybody's overdosing on the West Coast. And the people on the West Coast, they sell cocaine to people in other parts of the country. It's spiked. They don't know it. They don't know. They couldn't test it all. Maybe certain parts of it were clean, but they mix it in to the middle and they hide it. And then you sell the wrong part, and now you just killed somebody you love. That's happening to, on average, 300,000 Americans a year. The reason they say on average is because sometimes these overdose deaths are, they call them a heart attack, or they'll call it something else because they don't want you to know it was an overdose. It happened to a friend of mine. We know what he used to do for fun when he gets off of work, and we get on, play 2K, we all play video games. He's on here making jokes with me. We're laughing. I make a really funny joke. He doesn't laugh. And then I'm talking to him on the game. It's Friday. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? That was funny as hell. I sent him a screenshot. We're laughing. He's not laughing at my joke, but he's still online. So the next day I don't hear from him. He doesn't get on the game. And then I don't hear from him that night. And then the next night. And then they find his body on Sunday. And then nobody wanted to tell me what had happened to him. But he lives in LA. And he lived a couple of miles from the men's central jail. They had 7 overdoses. 7 people died in one day at that jail, right around the corner from him. I think they all had something from the same batch. When I tell you this is close to home, when you're talking about going after the cartels and the Chinese who are spiking it, because we're sourcing where this chemical is coming from. The Mexicans aren't producing it. That chemical is bad for business. The cartels don't want to, but they're being paid to. Because they were doing it forever without trying to poison people. Because, well, if you kill your customer, who are you going to sell to? So that's why this is close to home to me. And I support our DEA. I support our administration. I support ICE. I support, shoring up our hemisphere and protecting our own people. At the end of the day, we're all we have. And there are people in the Americas. There are people in the United States that have American citizenship and they speak English, but they're not Americans. They don't care about Americans. They are not America first. They're America last. And they're here to just sabotage the country. And they're here to sow discontent, to get as many people in here to turn against the country as possible. I've seen the results. They've donated $1.5 million to a woman that was actually a domestic terrorist. If you try to kill a law enforcement officer, that makes you a domestic terrorist. I believe in fighting terrorism, both foreign and domestic, alike. So when you see people that are in this country that are aspiring terrorists, you understand that this has to go. We have to do this now because the problem is just getting worse. It's not getting any better, and it's not going to get any easier later. Yeah, fuck Israel. I agree. We're definitely going to Mexico. Absolutely. Yeah, you're from Israel. No. Yeah, I get what you're saying. The Iron Dome is not for ballistic missiles. For ballistic, we have arrow interceptors. Yeah, but whatever you guys have in the Iron Dome, it's outdated because, well, the Iranians have new technology. So do the other nations. They just haven't told you yet. And you guys in the Iron Dome can't even stop the hypersonic missiles that we know about. It can also be tricked. They can send other missiles. And when the way you deal with the Iron Dome is it costs you guys like 15,000 per missile or 30,000 per missile interceptor. If somebody just sends a barrage of missiles at you that are cheaper than that, and then you guys are spending 200,000-300,000 per round of interceptions, you'll just eventually run out of missiles, and then you won't have a dome anymore. See, when you say dome, you would think that it's a solid covering over Israel, but it's not. It's actually open air, and it's just a missile defense system. But those missiles can be depleted. The Iranians depleted your missile system, and that's why you guys are hit so hard. I mean, I'm talking hard. So the dome works when when people are throwing rocks or they're doing like little missiles from the West Bank, pew pew pew, adorable little cute little missiles. but not when you're fighting another country. You got to be a little bit, you got to be understanding about that. And peace is always an option. Genocide is not, because you're never going to be able to get rid of Hamas, because Hamas lives in the minds of people. Anybody can become Hamas. It's not a person. It's an ideology. So you can never defeat that. The only way you can defeat that is if there's no need for that, because there's no genocide and there's no oppression. And people are always good. I live in the United States. People claim to be oppressed here, but they're on the internet talking shit. If you were oppressed, you wouldn't be on the net. See, real oppression is what the Palestinians are going through. No water, and the Israelis calculate how many calories it takes before you're officially starving, and they make sure you never get right below that threshold. Sounds like an amazing diet. You can get ripped up like that. That sounds like what Hugh Jackman did to become Wolverine. But should we make that a policy for kids, to make them all jacked on the same limited calorie intake as Wolverine? I don't think so. I don't think that's fair. I think it's horrible. Yeah, going to the store and returning to go get some leche. Yeah, bro, if you are a cartel leader, this would be a really good time to tell everybody you're about to go on a little vacation with your wife and your kids, and we'll be right back. Okay, keep the arroz con pollo, keep it warm for me. Put some tortillas on the grill. We'll be right back, Jefe. Okay, and get the fuck out of Dodge. You have enough money. Teach your family to speak French. Go hide somewhere in Marseille and just pretend that you were from Quebec or something. Just do not go back to Mexico for the next 5 to 10 years. That is Trump land now. Mexico will be Trump land. I don't necessarily know what we're going to do about Shine Bomb, because then that would mean we would have to literally bring in our own administration. Americans are horrible at nation building in the Middle East. I think we've done pretty good with our own hemisphere. I think we could do good here. We could nation build Mexico because it's connected to us geographically. It's not on the other side of the planet, in a different time zone. I'm on the same time zone as Mexico City, I think, right now, or Tijuana at least. I know I'm close to Rocky Point. So we could nation build and we could control Mexico because we're actually connected to it. Our troops are here. Our people are here. We can migrate south if need be. But going to Afghanistan and Iraq, that was just a horrible idea. Libya, Syria, we don't have we can't do that. It's too far. But Mexico we can do. Greenland we can do. Venezuela we can do. Colombia, with as many beautiful women, we were already doing that. We got passports on the ground, baby. We're already there. So, yeah. I wish peace for everybody. Blacks for Trump is like Julianne says blacks for Trump is like fish for bicycles lane. Yeah, I believe that. I think blacks for Democrats is kind of like fires for water. It just doesn't make any sense. Unless you want to get burnt out, it's a bad idea. So I don't know what your issue was with Trump, but the good thing about Trump is that he doesn't like the blacks anymore, as far as I can tell. Well, he's not offering them anything. He was pandering them to the first administration. They stabbed them in the back. They listened to the Democrats. Now all the blacks are dying. I think Trump knows they're dead. I think Trump knows the entire black community voted Democrat, and the ones who voted Democrat because of this woman right here, right? Because of their leader. What was her name? Where's that weird broad in her propaganda? Where is she? Right. Where is she? There's only one video of her? I thought I've uploaded a bunch.
I want to urge everyone to take the vaccine when it is.
They all listened to her. Everybody black in the country thought that she was going to be the next president. They said, oh, a black woman told me to go take some poison. They went and took it. There's no more black people. Let's just say that. Let's just go ahead and move forward. And let's just say there's no more blacks. Because so many of them took it, you're going to see black people on reservations in a couple of years. I lost 6 this week. By the end of last year, I was at like 45. I'm only able to keep track of all the deaths because of Facebook. Facebook is an obituary for blacks, for everybody, but when you're only 13% of the population, yeah, mass die-off kind of sticks out a little bit. When you're 60 and you lose a percentage of your population, you're 60%. You can still rebuild. You can come back from that. Not when you're 13 and now you're 9, and then you'll be 4% in the next year and a half, 2 years. That's how I'm thinking about it. It'll be 5 years from when everybody black took the vaccine. The vaccine mandate that Joe Biden told everybody that his patience is wearing thin. What month was that? He said, our patience is wearing thin. All right.
My message to unvaccinated Americans is this. What more is there to wait for? What more do you need to see? We've made vaccinations free, safe, and convenient. The vaccine has FDA approval. Over 200 million Americans have gotten at least one shot. We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin.
I didn't give a fuck how thin your patience got. Bitch, come do something about it. And he never did. But when Kamala's patience was running thin, and she told people that if you don't take this injection, you're a white supremacist, science denier, Trump supporter. And then that's when I realized how much of a science denying Trump supporter I was, because I was like, get the fuck out of here. I'm not letting these fucking maniacs inject me. And because I didn't, I survived, but everybody else I know is dying. But I'm from Los Angeles. If you're not from California, you might not know what I'm talking about. It hasn't hit the rest of you guys yet the way it hit us. It's bad. I was just looking at a friend of mine. She was such a beautiful person. She's like 50. But stage 4, they found out all of a sudden in December. She's gone today. She passed night before last. But it's not just her. It's all of them. So there are no more black people, so you don't have to worry about, dealing with that. You got to worry about the other issues now. That issue it kind of repaired itself in a way. But yeah, this is our hemisphere. Don't fuck around and don't find out.
Men took out hundreds, and that's starting to spread all through Latin America. And now they're not saying, if you want me, come and get me anymore. They're like, oh shit. Especially after Trump says, hey, Mexico, you're on the list too.
The thing is this, being Cuban, I want Cuba to be on the list first, because I can go ahead and move back to my family's hometown. And if they hit Cuba, then we'll be back. We'll be part of the United States within a matter of months. And then I can just sit there at my place in Cienfuegos, and I would be able to just make the videos, and I can help make Cuba great again. We can rebuild capitalism. We can restart our economy. We can bring back income, but we've been poor for so long. We don't know what it's like to work. We've been lazy for so long. And that's the thing. When you look at the Americans who are like, oh, we want to be communists. No, they just want to be lazy. They want to just be given money and they don't have to do shit. It's kind of like the way, like, a lot of people that live on welfare, how they live, and we were like, damn, why do I have to work just so you can afford to? I have to work, right? And my capitalist tax dollars goes towards funding people that live in the hood or in the projects or in the ghetto, their communist utopia. Because in the ghetto, your housing is subsidized, you get welfare, plus you get a little stipend. But the illegals, like the Somalians and all these other illegals that are paid to move here, they're given $4,000 or $5,000 a month to live here. That's their stipend, because they provide congressional seats and they vote in favor of the Democrats. But they get $3,000, $2,000 a month for food stamps, and they get Section 8 subsidized housing. So they live a way better life than the American people. That right there is what people think that's what it's like living in Cuba. You don't understand. It's the Hunger Games. Because you think that, if at first it looks good, you don't have to work, then you realize that they can just take away everything that they want, because you can't buy it. You don't have anything. Everyone's equally poor. So we don't want that for the United States. A lot of these people do. That's why we have to remove birthright citizenship, so these people can be expatriated into countries where they could fit in more with the local culture. Our local culture here in the United States is not communism. So the American-born people that speak English that do not like that culture and don't believe in our system, Instead of sitting around here and, sowing discontent and telling everybody how horrible this place is, we're just going to move you the fuck out. We're just going to move you out. And that's what's coming. So, because you're a security threat also. Let's watch this whole video in just in its entirety.
Protecting Monroe has spoken, and you got to hear what he said.
I've already explained what I meant by there are no more black people. At 90%, 92% voted for Democrats. If you to pledge your loyalty to Kamala Harris, you had to take an injection that was poisonous. You took a time-delayed euthanasia serum because she told you to. My college-educated black friends never trusted hospitals and they never took vaccines. You would call them vaccine hesitant. Kamala Harris is literally the only thing that helped them remove their safeguards and made them go take it. Kamala Harris did more damage to the black community than Martin Luther King. And she was successful because now they're all dying. So what I'm saying is that this is 2026. There should be a mass die-off, maybe even before the winter time. So it's going to be all this year. That population is going to drop and there will be no alarms sounded. We have a large black population in California. And I've noticed in other states I've lived in, there's not a bunch of black people dying like there is in California. Or maybe we just took it early. Remember, the vaccine was available in 2020 if you were in California. Did you guys know that? See, for the rest of the country, it was mid-2021 before it was available to everyone. But in California, because of Hollywood and because of the mandates in the studios, they were already offering and giving it out in California. So maybe we just had it earlier than everybody else. So that's why we're seeing so much more death sooner than other people. But I believe it's going to come for everybody that took it. I don't think there's going to be, I think being in California, the results are faster because they blocked out the sun, but eventually everyone's going to catch up. Eventually, and it's already happening. So follow my page and you'll see what I post. You'll see what I'm sharing. You'll see all this data and you'll understand what's happening. So if you have questions, I have answer. I'm your Circuit City, but you're going to have to read. You're going to have to listen. You're going to have to discern. I just hand-fed you some information. It's up to you now to log into your Facebook and start looking at people that used to have that virtue signal in their profile picture that said, I got the vax. How they doing today? How are they? Because I've been sharing all the pictures of everybody that used to do the virtue signal and that are dead now. I share them every day on my Instagram, the Safe and Effective Podcast, or Right Wing Rico on Instagram. I keep track of all of it. You can too. Or now that I figured out that you can post like Instagram posts on YouTube, I've been sharing the hell out of this information. Go look at all my posts from just last night. If you care to know, ye who seeks knowledge shall find it. I'm not going to hide it from you. I'll share it with you.
Spanish, but I'll translate. Also, Trump.
Yes, I was included in their agenda. I just decided to opt out. I'm a stenographer. I'm a survivor. But it's like they handcrafted this for me. I would have been like DMX or all them other black men that died the same day that they took it. If I would have took it, I didn't take it. I didn't even take the test. It was designed for my phenotype. Exactly. So, but everybody, remember, they used to make you sit at the vaccination centers when you did the drive-through. Remember, they used to make you sit there for 15 minutes after you took it because they didn't want you to die while you were on the freeway. And if you were going to die in the first 15 minutes, they'd rather it happen in their parking lot. Did you guys know that was a policy? Did you know that after you took the second shot, you still had to, if you didn't die for 2 weeks, then they would finally consider you fully vaxxed. But if you had died before then, after you took the vax, they would say you were unvaxxed because they didn't want the numbers to count they didn't want to make it obvious to the public that it was killing people too soon. See, I'm the one who share all the data. A lot of the data came out once RFK Jr. Removed all the censorship. Now we know everything. But I already knew this before because I kept score. See, I was a specialist in this topic. I was the only one that studied it every day, all day. I obsessed over it for years because I knew what it meant. It meant that my bottom line was going to be disturbed Because if everybody I'm around and everybody I love dies, then what am I going to do? I got invited to so many funerals so early that I left the state, moved to Texas. Less people took it here, but people took it. Less people dying here, but the night is young. And like, again, we took it early in California. The rest of the country have no idea how it was in California during the lockdown. But you know what? Let's finish this weapons test in Venezuela, and then I did the connection with the Ukraine, and then I'll be back on.
Announced that, the cartels, they're going after them in Mexico. The whole vibe of Latin America has changed because of...
I don't have any blackness. I don't even know what that means. It means you think I'm evil? Blackness is evil? That is evil. I don't believe in blackness. I don't even know what the fuck that means. Colorness? What is a colorness? I don't understand. You're using very ambitious English, and I'm but a simple foreigner. You might have to clear that up for me.
What happened in Venezuela. And now that we're getting firsthand account.
Yeah, Quilla's son, you sucked on RFK Jr.'s worm. It's the difference between us.
Accounts from people that were there. The soldier says they didn't hear him coming. He says the Americans had technology superior to anything they've ever seen. Everything that they were using for radar, for anything, was completely taken offline. They had drones, and the drones were taking out bases and taking out things faster. They have no technology. They've never had to fight against drones. He also talks about that there was only 8 helicopters. There was only 20 men that were sent in. And those 20 men killed hundreds of their men. And none of those soldiers were injured. He talks about it felt like they were firing 300 rounds a minute. Nothing they've ever seen, nothing that they can compete with. And then he also talks to the fact that the Americans had some kind of sonic shock boom that was sent out, and everybody immediately started bleeding profusely out of their nose. They couldn't even gather themselves because whatever was sent at them made them fall to their knees and vomit blood out of their mouth and out of their noses. They were incapacitated immediately. He says he never wants to go through that again. Doesn't want to have to fight with the Americans again. He's sending warnings to everybody out there that you think you can fight the Americans. You don't even know what their weaponry is like and what they're capable of. 20 men took out hundreds, and that's starting to spread all through Latin America. And now they're not saying, if you want me, come and get me anymore. They're like, oh shit. Especially after Trump says, hey, Mexico, you're on the list too.
If you go out for leche, put a few $1 million in your pocket, leave all your furniture and everything behind, grab the kids of yours that you like, leave them stepkids, leave your ex-wife, take the kids that you like, and vanish. Find a private jet, get out of the country, don't come back. That's my advice to you. Hope you take it. Like and subscribe, share the video. Like the channel. I appreciate you guys' support. I thank you. I appreciate the new subscribers. This has been great talking to you. I'll be back on shortly with another topic. Remember, it's America first, but America only.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.